Well, you say you care about privacy, but do you care enough to do anything about it? And that is a big question. Liz Gannes has been looking into this. She's with All Things Digital, and she's out in San Francisco. Liz, do people just moan, and never do anything? Is that the idea here?
It does seem to be the case. People like to talk about privacy and like to think about privacy, and I think that's great. I think that the awareness of brought by people's own experiences and media stories, et cetera, has been a good thing because people are putting a lot of personal information about themselves online these days. I don't see as quite so much follow through on is that worry translating to people actually switching services or leaving services because they're concerned about privacy. That does happen a little bit, but the studies that I've been looking at show that not so much.
So you looked, Liz, at a study from Trustee. Can you tell us what you found there?
Sure. So Trustee decided that it's going to start doing a quarterly consumer confidence privacy index. This is the first quarter, so it's not a terrifically useful index in that we don't know how much it's changing. But as a benchmark, now we know that 90% of the U.S. online adults that were surveyed say that they're worried about privacy. 41% of them, so a lot lower, said they don't trust most businesses with their personal information online. And 88% said they avoid doing businesses with companies who believe do not protect their privacy. Now, that doesn't mean that Trustee actually went ahead and checked what services those people use and they follow their word, but at least people are saying they're taking.
Right.
I think we're losing Liz's audio there a little bit. Seems to have been coming out, and I hope it's coming back now, as if by magic. But you were going to say something, Julia.
I was going to point out that Trustee sells a privacy seal that people can put on their website, which, is on most websites. And I would just point out that they're in the business of profiting from privacy perception. So that's just one thing to point out.
So there could be a conflict of interest there. So if people are scared about privacy, they might sell more of these privacy seals.
I just think whenever you do a study, you should talk about who did it. But is Liz back?
Do we have Liz back? There she is with the phone on her ear, which is great, which means we'll probably be able to hear you now. What about the Digital World Research? Who are they and what did they do?
Yeah, I thought that was interesting because it's totally true that Trustee has a skin in this game, but it's an interesting topic and there's a lot of people looking at it. And this is still kind of a crappy connection, so I hope you can hear me okay.
We can.
But yeah, there was a separate study that looks specifically at Google services because Google has made a pretty significant change recently, which is that they said they're going to condense all their privacy policies across their services and share user data across them. And obviously that will affect the advertising that their users are served, knowing things like what videos you watch on YouTube, what things you searched on search. So that's something that a lot of people said they found upsetting, but this study found that 60% of respondents said they were concerned about Google aggregating their personal data, while 69%, so not that many more, said that they're not likely to use Google products because of the changes.
That is interesting. Does that surprise you, Julia?
Well, I think it's worth pointing out that there aren't that many options to switch to, right? So Google is offering free email, which I think by most standards...
It's a good price.
It's free because they're selling your data, but it's free. And so it's also, got the most storage, and I think by most of the metrics of the other email providers, it is better in most cases. And then all of them are also free and selling your data. So what is it that what is the legitimate privacy protecting option which you would be asking people to switch to? I mean, what is the right answer here? I'm going to go set up my own email service, so to me, I think it doesn't necessarily indicate that people don't care about privacy. It just means what are they going to switch to?
And that's a great question. One of the other privacy things that I've been sort of finding somewhat diabolical of late is whenever I buy a book on Amazon, they ask me to announce what book it is to the entire world, right? Little button. Have you experienced that yet? I always say no. The last thing I want is for anyone to know what I'm reading. I mean, it's a private matter. I mean, book is for curling up with on your own. Yeah. So why the sort of over? I mean, it seems it's so much in your face now, Julia.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that what's happened is in the beginning, there weren't as many switching costs on the internet, right? There were 20 different search providers, Alta
Yeah.
Vista, Lycos, do you remember all these? Anyways, and so you could actually make a legitimate choice as a user, like, I'm into privacy, so I'm going to use the privacy one, right? But what's happened is that it's consolidated. So now Google is really the best search provider. And even Bing would admit they haven't come all the way up in terms of how well their main search results are.
I'm going to assume people still know what Bing is.
And so similarly with Amazon right now, they have consolidated their power. So the problem is once these people have such a huge market, they can start asking you to do more things with your data.
Well, the message to Amazon is I will not be sharing what books I'm buying with the world. Maybe with certain people, but not the world. Liz, do you expect there'll be a market for a private email system where your data isn't sold and that you'd be willing to pay, say, $10 a month for?
I think that it's important to keep talking about these issues because it's possible that that as we talk, an alternative will emerge. And it's important to hold young startups to high privacy standards and ask them what they're doing with our data and start making choices about where we put it.